soon as Congressman Meek, who's running a distant third in the Florida polls, takes to the podium, tell us whether he's going to leave the race or not. We'll join him as soon as he does. We're back with Ben Stein and Penn Jillette. They remain. Joining us, Stephanie Miller, the progressive radio talk show host of her own program, and Tanya Acker, political analyst and contributor to the Huffington Post. Jon Stewart's rally to restore sanity is going to be held Saturday on the National Mall. We talked to him about that event last week. He said it's not a political rally, and it's not an anti-Glenn Beck rally. Here's what he said it is.
What we are doing is we are using the rally format to do the same thing we do with our shows. The message will be a very similar type idea. It's just using the rally through a satirical format. Like the book is like our show in book form. We're going to also develop our show in capsule form, in powdered form, maybe a drink form the astronauts can use up in the space shuttle. It's not, you know, everybody should just wait and see what it is, make their own decision.
Stephanie, what do you make of this rally?
I don't know. I had a 6-year-old call my radio show today and tell me that he was going to the rally. So, not sure what this means about America, Larry, but I don't think it's good.
Tanya, what do you think?
I think there's so many things to satirize in the current political culture. You know, I feel every day I turn on the news, I'm seeing an episode of The Real Housewives. I mean, it really has come to that. And I think that the rally, you know, to the extent that he wants to point out some of these inconsistencies, if that's what will happen, then more power to it.
The whole race, Ben, in a sense, has been a satire, hasn't it?
Well, it's a satire of reality, that's for sure. I mean, what I can't get over, I've got to go back to this, is that a few minutes ago, I was in a room with widows and parents of Navy SEALs who've been killed in the very, very unfortunate war in Afghanistan. And then we have a few blocks away a big comedy event, and we have on TV The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills spending thousands of dollars on chocolate to be eaten in a few minutes. And then we have on TV the candidates for the control of the most powerful legislature in the world just hurling mud at each other instead of dealing with the real problems in the country. It just doesn't seem as if anyone's coming to grips with the fact that we've got really serious problems.
And if I can jump in to Ben's point, I think that what we're seeing are so many wild inconsistencies that people on both sides of the aisle are very easily able to articulate. I mean, for instance, we've got Joe Miller in Alaska, who is my law school classmate. I don't remember him well from law school at all, but by all accounts, he was a very nice guy, who's talking about things like cutting the minimum wage in Alaska. Now, Alaska, at least as of 2008, was the largest recipient of federal pork in the country, or at least one of the largest. But yet and still, you've got this groundswell of candidates who are talking about cutting big government. It doesn't mean anything in the
Tanya, he was a nice guy in that he didn't have his own private security force yet to harass anybody. I mean, hey, Larry, I think that's the point, is in this, you know, the Jon Stewart rally, we don't know which is the comedy and which is real. I mean, look at Christine O'Donnell. Like, when did you ever think you would see an ad saying, "I'm not a witch, I'm just like you"? She's never held a job or a house, and she doesn't masturbate. She's not like anyone I know.
Wait a minute. If a guy came here from Mars, he wouldn't believe it. All I did, Penn Jillette, was ask about the rally. Do you plan to attend, Penn?
I don't intend to attend because I'm in Vegas. But I think it's fabulous to do comedy in any form you want to do it at all. I think that Jon Stewart is really funny. We disagree on some political stuff, but I absolutely love him. He's hysterically funny. And doing a rally, it's like, you know, when I was a child, Pat Paulson running for president. It's fair to do comedy in any way at all. And my heart goes out to what Ben Stein's saying about people dying and suffering and all of that, but that's always been true while comedy is going on.
You know,
and as soon as we think about what's happening, it's terrible, terrible, terrible. But also, comedy does go on. No, Stephanie, go ahead.
No, but that's right. No, but Penn, I mean, Ben raises a great point. My favorite movie is The American President. And, you know, he says, you know, character says, these are serious times. We need serious people to solve these problems. Christine O'Donnell, in my opinion, is not a serious person. Sarah Palin is not a serious person.
Of all time?
Well, unless the one you were in, or of course Ferris Bueller.
Car 54 that I was in. I've been in terrible movies, but the best movie of all time?
I love it.
Really?
But my point is, you're right. I mean, Ben is right. We need serious people.
No one's going to listen to
But we don't
anything
have
you
them.
say ever again. The best movie ever?
Okay, Penn,
Really?
control yourself. All right, let me get Michael Douglas.
I can stand
Pretty
people
good.
dying in
Okay.
Afghanistan, but that got of crazy.
Ben, we'll get back to you in a minute. This program tonight capsulizes this entire campaign, which will, by the way, end on Tuesday to the thanks of 300 million Americans. We'll be right back. We're back. President Obama isn't the only political figure trying to use the entertainment media to spread a message. Sarah Palin's done an interview with E.T.'s Mary Hart. Watch.
For me, Mary, it's going to entail a discussion with my family, a real close look at the lay of the land, and to consider whether there are those with that common sense, conservative, pro-Constitution passion, whether there are already candidates out there who can do the job, and I'll get to be their biggest supporter and their biggest helpmate if they will have me, or whether there's nobody willing to do it and to make the tough choices and not care what the critics are going to say about you, just going forward according to what I believe the priority should be. If there's nobody else to do it, then of course I would believe that we should do this.
He was talking about running for the presidency. Ben, what do you make of that comment?
Well, my first thought is God help us, but you know, I like her a lot. I think she's an intelligent woman. I think the speech she gave at the Republican convention when she was nominated was one of the best speeches I've ever heard, but she didn't write it. And I think she really needs, she's an intelligent woman. I think she needs a little more leavening. And by the way, I am going to be at my apartment at the Watergate, just a short walk from the mall, and I am going to the rally, and I'm going to cheer on Jon Stewart because I want to have sanity too.
Tanya, what do you think of her statement to Mary Hart?
Sarah Palin is the gift that will not stop giving. She just keeps giving.
Well, she's saying if none of the other candidates are constitutionalists.
What does she mean if none of the other candidates are constitutional and fiscally responsible? I mean, is that like if they're not like me and don't take money for a bridge to nowhere?
If they're opposed to the Constitution
and don't,
and care for fiscal irresponsibility,
See,
she's in.
Here's my issue. What we have in this current political environment, and it's not new in this campaign cycle, are people who just feel like they can adopt these identities, make things up, and somehow make it true. Sarah Palin took money for a bridge to nowhere before she became the big guardian of fiscal conservatism and the Constitution. When you look at what a lot of these folks who are running now from the far right, when they talk about this fiscal responsibility and we hate big government, you know, there was a guy that the Washington Post profiled a few months ago who was egging people on to vandalize Democratic buildings after the health care bill passed. And he's like, I hate big government. This guy was on disability. He was getting his government check every month. You know, John Boehner's plan to his new contract for America, or whatever they're calling it, is going to add $700 billion to the deficit. So Sarah Palin or Christine O'Donnell, whoever it is, they make things up and they think that it's true just because they say it earnestly, and it's not.
Penn Jillette, do you think she's going to be a serious candidate?
You know, every time I hear smarmy people making fun of Sarah Palin, it just rubs me the wrong way, and I want to defend her and stick up for her, and I just hate the way people make fun of her. And then I read one thing she says or hear her for a moment, and I just can't find anything to defend about her. I want to. I don't like the people making fun of her. My heart goes out to her. I always go for the nut. I always go for the underdog. I find myself defending her violently until I read anything she says, and then I'm totally beaten. Just
I hope you weren't
I want to stick up for her.
You know,
Sarah Palin.
Larry,
I hope I'm
just
not
say
wearing this
one
sorry.
thing.
Being sarcastic.
Larry,
If you could say one smart thing, I would be
Stephanie,
so thrilled.
yes. Larry, let me jump in as a smarmy person that makes fun of Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
I had sort of I did have a reaction like Ben Stein, who thought, God help us, except as a comedian, I thought, oh, please, God, let it be so. Because she is great for comedy, horrible for the country. And no offense to Mary Hart, but I guess she had to find some interview that she would appear to have some gravitas with. Maybe Snooki from Jersey Shore can interview her next.
What did Mary Hart do wrong? She asked if
See,
she's running
that's
for
my
president.
point.
She answered.
But where?
What
I mean,
did Mary Hart
Larry,
do wrong?
you don't give us. If you want to be president, you do an interview with Mary Hart. It's like she can't answer any reasonable questions. Like, what do you read? I mean, come on. This is, you know, even Karl Rove is saying she does not have the gravitas to be president.
Doesn't that make you want to defend her? But you can't. You can't do it.
See?
There's nothing
And you
good
don't
to
even
defend.
like me,
I
Penn.
want to.
You don't like me. You don't like
to.
my taste in movies, and yet you can't defend her, can you?
Well, listen, no, I can't defend her, but I certainly can give you Double Indemnity, Psycho, Dawn of the Dead.
Okay, hold on, guys, hold on. Let's go to Miami Gardens, Florida, and that was Congressman Meek denying. This is one of those classic examples of much ado about nothing. Politico reported this. Where did they get it from, Ben Stein? Where did they get this story that ain't a story?
Well, I imagine it was true at one point. I mean, Politico is extremely reliable. I imagine it was true, and Mr. Meek changed his mind. I saw him in the debate a few days ago. He's an extremely intelligent guy, and I think it's a very good for the voters of Florida that he's still in the race.
So you think so Bill Clinton's going to deny what he apparently asked him to do?
I don't know what Bill Clinton's going to do. He probably did ask him to do it, but he probably will deny it. I mean, they're politicians, you know. They're not saints. They're politicians.
Stephanie, what do you think?
Yeah, not since I've been bumped off television for Balloon Boy has there been such a non-story, Larry. This is, everybody assumed, right? Like, oh, he's having a press conference, he's dropping out. But, you know, I thought the same thing that Ben did. I saw the debate, and he is a really, really solid candidate. And I think Charlie Crist has just, you know, as we've implied here, just flip-flopped every which way. I think that, you know, this is still a solid race. And, you know, with Sarah Palin calling Marco Rubio mavericky, he is solid down the line, Republican Party, doctrinaire, Tea Party. He is not, by any stretch of the imagination, some kind of maverick. And I hope Florida voters really take a look at this before Tuesday.
Tanya, what do you make of this?
I was bumped from TV because of Balloon Boy, too, so I guess that's two things I have in common with Stephanie. On top of being swarmy, I also got bumped, so what can I say?
Where does a story like this come? This is classic 24-hour news.
You know, it's one of these things because, again, it's classic 24-hour news, Larry. It's classic reality show component. Did big bad Bill Clinton come in and tell the young upstart to step aside to save the Senate?
I'll tell you how this happened. You want to know how this happened?
Yeah.
Someone said to Meek, you want to get some national attention? Let's spread the word. Clinton asked you to leave, and I'll get you 5 minutes on national television in prime time.
And we got it.
You got it.
This.
Good
Yay.
move, huh, Ben?
Woo.
The guy is extremely, it's very smart and very plausible.
Penn Jillette, maybe this was all contrived.
I have no inside information whatsoever. All I'm sure of is that Clinton did not call me.
Bottom line was,
no one talked to me about this. I have no information whatsoever, and I wasn't bumped for Balloon Boy, so I got nothing to say.
Stay tuned. Balloon Boy will be back. All right, only 5 more days, folks. 5 more days. We'll be back after these words.